How is everyone doing today? And in this video, we are going to be talking about one of the most important questions when it comes to not only being on day one, but also because this is a very big decision when it comes to low spenders, free to plays, and possibly spenders. I have zero idea, but it is going to be, should you summon for either Ellen or Zhu Yuan, who are going to be our first two 5 stars of version 1.0. And this is actually very exciting. Now, 100%, I understand if a lot of you are going to want to forego Ellen. We are going to talk about the pros and cons of both of them to be able to give you the general gist of how these characters work, how they play in a team, and also how future proof they are. And I'm 100% sure a lot of you are going to go for Ellen because she is the brand new shiny 5-star DPS that's going to allow you to breeze through the game very easily with how strong she is, especially with all my time I played with her in CBT2 and also CBT3. But before we get into all that, make sure to leave a like, comment, sub, all that different type of stuff, and let me know what character you are looking forward to when it comes to either Ellen or Zhu Yuan, because I love to know down in the comments below. But going ahead and starting off with our first half character of version 1.0 is going to be Ellen. Now, Ellen is going to be an ice DPS that overall has an enormous amount of damage and is one of by far the coolest characters to play for sure. Managing your stacks, having certain moves that use stacks and also waste stacks that allow you to have almost permanent uptime on ice damage, which is very strong 100% for the ice team and also for ice units that you can have on the team as well. Now, going on to the main things that I do want to talk about in regards to some of her pros, 100% is that she does generally have a lower skill floor for you, just because for the most part a lot of her mechanics are very easy to learn, and a lot of her damage is going to allow you to skip a lot of the nuances of learning an enemy or overall evaporating them with how much damage she's actually able to do. And then not only that, she has by far one of the easiest teams to play just because of how broken the frozen reaction is, which is going to allow you to basically permanently stun the enemies that you're fighting, which is actually very strong, that you're able to not only stun them so they can't do anything to you while you're doing damage to them, you're actually able to go ahead and do damage to them while they can't move. And then not only that, when they get shattered or when they lose their freeze, that's an extra bit of damage on top of that. So that's overall a lot of extra stuff that you're able to do that you probably wouldn't be able to do so if you didn't have these enemies frozen. So I do think with having the easier team to play, with having one of the better reactions in the game in regards to helping out a beginner, these are overall some really good aspects to have for Ellen. And let's not even talk about all the stuff that she gives in regards to her passives and also W engine as well. That is going to make her by far one of the craziest characters on day one to have. Now, again, like I said, Frozen is one of the best reactions for beginners because it allows the enemies to not be able to move. They take extra damage when they leave that frozen state, and it is overall a really nice amount of benefits you get from this reaction, which is going to happen quite a bit when using someone like Ellen, when using someone like Sokaku, and using someone like Lycan. This reaction happens a crap ton of times, and this is going to be overall really great to be able to brute force through your way through a lot of stages and also helping you out deal with a lot of the more annoying enemies in the game. Now, you can't really freeze, quote unquote, the really big bosses just because either they have a lot of effect res or just because they are a big boss and they kind of want to stop you from doing so. But we'll 100% test that when we get further into the game. The next thing is that you can easily get a lot of Ellen's best teammates very early on into the game. Ellen's best teammates so far, from what I've been able to play, if you want to rock a mono ice team, which is very strong for Ellen, there are going to be definitely better teams as we play the game and test more around her. But when it comes to playing with Sokaku and also Lycan, these two characters are relatively slightly easy depending on how you want to roll with it. Sokaku is given for free after you beat a certain floor of shield defense, which is pretty early on, which this is already half of the team because there's only 3 characters on the team. And the next character is going to be Lycan, who you could probably get from either the random 5-star you're going to be getting at the very beginning of the game, because we are going to be getting 30 pulls from pre-registration and also live stream rewards, but you can also hopefully get it from the random, and you can also hopefully get it from the selector if it comes time that you still don't have Lycan and you're able to go ahead and get so for your Ellen if you still enjoy Ellen by the time you get your 300. So for half of the team being already filled out, you're able to give Ellen her faction bonus or her ice bonus when it comes to her team passive. Then that's overall really good to have with Sokaku because she's given for free with Ellen, so that's a really nice thing. For Lycan, hopefully get him on the random if you want to hyper invest into Ellen's team, but I'm pretty sure we're going to find some substitutes and maybe even better characters characters to be able to put on Ellen's team, which is going to be very nice to look at. Now, one thing I do want to preface for Ellen before we get into the con that we are going to see definitely with Ellen, how she is as a character, is that she is 100% on day one going to allow you to blast through a majority of the content in the game without a sweat, just because, as you may know, a lot of the times, usually in gacha games, you're going to be seeing that the first 5-star is generally a character that can go ahead and clear through bosses, clear through enemies, clear through a lot of the end game modes, because they usually are catered to her at the very start of the game. And of course, this changes as time goes by. But going on to the next portion, which is the con that is 100% foreseeable when it comes to how Ellen is as a character, with her being an ice DPS and not having anything insane in regards to the support that she could give to other teammates. She is very prone to power creep, and is basically, I would say, intended as a gacha game that this would be the case. And there's not really a lot of application that we can give Ellen besides being a DPS, which puts her in a lower spot in regards to investment, just because eventually we will get a better ice DPS as time goes by. And if they keep Miyabi the same, I think she might be the next portion of power creep. Maybe. We have no idea how that's going to work, but we're really early on into the game. You don't have to worry about power creep as much. Hoyoverse does a really good job most of the time when it comes to keeping these, I guess you could say, units from power creeping each other. That way you don't feel bad about the pulls you do, and you're more kind of incentivized to pull for more. So you don't have to worry about getting Ellen power creeped at any point in time. Games like Genshin, games like Star Rail, these games are still doing good with the characters that released way long ago and are still able to clear content up until current moment, which is a really good thing. And I see that being the case, of course, when it comes for Zenless Zone Zero as well, that you will be able to use the characters that you want if you invest in them properly. But just because that Ellen is the role that she is and she doesn't really have any other application, she is more prone to power creep than someone else. Now, going on to the next character, which is going to be Zhu Yuan, which is going to be our ether DPS. Now, Zhu Yuan is actually a really different case when it comes to how she is versus how Ellen is. Now, Zhu Yuan, I'm just gonna say it straight off the bat, is that she gives immediately more value than Ellen. And the reason I say that is because when it comes to her element, she has a crazy scarcity of ether units in the game at the current moment, which is Nicole being the only other ether unit and then Zhu Yuan being the other one, which is kind of crazy that that's the case and that there's no other elements that have this scarcity of characters that have that element. And the corruption reaction is actually a very strong reaction, with it giving a pseudo dot. Is every time you attack an enemy, you're able to give a little dot to whoever you did the corruption reaction on, and this is a very strong reaction to have. Zhu Yuan has a lot of different mechanics that allow you to do DPS non-stop, with her strings allowing her to reload her bullets. You have the hold attack, which allows her to let go of her bullets, which does a crap ton of corruption damage. And then not only that, or ether damage, my bad. And then her ultimate is just a huge burst of ether damage at the very end, allowing for multiple corruption reactions or allowing for multiple disorder reactions. You get some absolutely nasty DPS, and not only that, non-stop DPS, because her lights actually have an innate dodge in them if you hold down a directional button while you're fighting with Zhu Yuan, which I think is absolutely insane that she has not only this amount of DPS but also has that amount of movement as well put into her kit, which makes her absolutely absurd. She has a lot more wiggle room when it comes to her future proofing. When it comes to her being a corruption unit, with her having non-stop DPS, this allows her to be put in different roles in regards to being a regular DPS, or possibly in the future if she isn't as crazy in the damage number that she gives, which is going to be a crazy time, then you are able to possibly put her in a pseudo support role or sleep DPS role, just because of how much ether damage that she puts onto the enemy, which allows for the corruption reaction, which allows for crazy amounts of disorder reactions, which is going to be overall insane. Right now, we don't have a automatic best in slot team for Zhu Yuan, just because very little people actually were able to test her out thoroughly, and I definitely will be able to make a guide and also talk about her even more in depth as we know more about her kit, as we know more about who she would love to have on the team. But right now, I do think top contenders for sure are going to be characters like Grace, who is really good with Anomaly as well, helping out the disorder reaction. And then not only that, Nicole, if you want to run the double ether, which allows for some nasty, and I mean some crazy amount of corruption to take place when it comes to how Zhu Yuan is as a character and how much damage you're going to be doing with her. I do think that Zhu Yuan is going to be a little bit more future-proof, like I said before, as she could take on not only the main DPS role, but also the sub-DPS role, just due to the amount of elemental application she actually has on her kit, which I think is absolutely insane. I do think that Zhu Yuan does have a higher skill ceiling when it comes to talking about managing her stacks, getting her stacks back, using her movement correctly. That way you're almost non-stop doing DPS, which holds a lot of value when it comes to the mechanical depth of a character, which allows you to be able to exploit more with her at the beginning and also later on your journey as you learn more things with Zhu Yuan. And of course, as time goes by, we're probably going to learn new mechanics, new tech that people are able to do with these characters. So this is overall going to be a very, very exciting thing to see. Now, one thing I do want to notice, as well as I gave something like Zhu Yuan or Ellen this, is that Zhu Yuan is a little easier to play just because she is the let me spam the light attack button, let me spam the attack button, and let me hold down direction. I'm never going to get hurt. I'm always going to be doing DPS. Now let me hold it down. Let me do the same thing. You're going to be doing a lot more damage, not having to worry about getting hit because you have innate dodges in your string, which I think is absolutely nasty. These two characters are overall really, really great, but if I had to give my own answer, I would just have to give it to Zhu Yuan. Holy crap, is she so freaking good. But of course, be and pick what you want exactly when it comes to either wanting Ellen at the very beginning of the game, because I 100% agree, and then also looking at Zhu Yuan, she is going to be a very, very nasty character to have, and I'm 100% sure we're going to see only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to how great these characters are going to be inside Zenless Zone 0 after we hit 1.1 and 1.2 and even further on. So let me know what characters you're possibly going to be using when it comes to Zenless and 1.0, and I can't wait to pull for both of them. They're going to be super cool to use, and overall good luck to everyone that's going to be playing, and we are super close to the release date of Zenless Zone 0. So other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See y'all guys in the next one, and peace.